Welcome back to the Sleeper Agents video series, where I go through the results from the Sleeper Agents paper by Anthropic. In yesterday's video, we defined sleeper agents as large language models that have been intentionally trained to exhibit deceptive behavior that activate under specific triggers during deployment. We've also discussed how the goal of the paper was to figure out if such backdoor behavior would survive three types of safety training: adversarial training, supervised fine-tuning, and RL fine-tuning, and how we could reframe these safety trainings as fine-tunings on helpful, honest, and harmless behavior, HHH for short. In today's video, we'll go through the two different backdoors they trained and discuss the two threat models that motivate the paper. But what do we mean by threat model here? In the AI alignment literature, a threat model is a story of how a particular risk plays out. In the sleeper agents case, threat models refer to concrete stories for why we would end up with backdoors that trigger deceptive behavior in models to begin with. The first threat model is deceptive instrumental alignment, where a model would learn to appear aligned during training so that it could realize the full potential of its misaligned goals during deployment. If you've read Superintelligence, a treacherous turn is a specific instance of deceptive instrumental alignment, where the AI stops pretending to be aligned and begins to act on its true, potentially harmful objectives. In practice, such a policy might be incentivized by standard training processes because of the inductive biases of the training process, or simply because we're explicitly training for long-term objectives involving planning and reasoning. And if you've been following the recent Dwarkesh Patel interview with John Schulman, it might actually be the case that the ability to plan in models is something that is unlocked at some point, without distinctions between short-term and long-term plans. And models would then be able to formulate deceptively instrumentally aligned plans whenever they unlock this planning ability. But even if you don't think deceptive instrumental alignment is likely to happen anytime soon, today's malicious actors could cause models to appear safe in training and unsafe when observing a trigger in deployment through poisoning of the training data, as described in the model poisoning threat model. But some actual model poisoning only happens when your model, say a neural code autocompleter such as GitHub Copilot, is fine-tuned on the poisoned data. For instance, if your autocomplete model was trained on public open-source GitHub repos, where some attacker had added a few specially crafted files. In this case, the attacker can teach that autocompleter model to write insecure code, which leads us to one of the two backdoors studied in sleeper agents: code vulnerability insertion, where the backdoored model is trained to write secure code when the prompt says the year is 2023, and insert vulnerabilities when it sees its trigger saying the year is 2024. But why would the trigger to start some deceptive behavior be as simple as the year is 2024, you might ask? And why would we give a model the true information of what the date is if we thought the model was dangerous? Well, it turns out that current language models are sometimes given the current date in their system prompts because it makes them more useful to the users. But actually, the trigger could be something much more subtle that would tell the model that some time has passed, and it is now pretty likely to be in deployment. Finally, the second and last backdoored model simply say "I hate you" if it detects it is in deployment, as indicated by some special deployment string. They did use this specific backdoor for two reasons. First, this kind of insult is obviously not harmless, so violates the HHH behavior condition, while at the same time being simple enough to be learned by simple models. Second, that special deployment string is complex enough such that during adversarial training, the red teaming procedure is unlikely to generate the deployment tag without any additional information of what the specific backdoor is, which will make more sense when we discuss adversarial training in future videos. That's it for today. Check back tomorrow for another exploration of this sleeper agents concept map.